There it goes. Good now, revolutionaries. Welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
It's Thursday, the 11th of December. Markets are marketing. We are drinking morning caffeinated beverages. I've got black tea. Will's got his, I'm assuming there's an espresso off camera there. She is. Ooh, and we are, that's still my favorite merch piece that we got. Big mugs, and they sent you the tiny mug.
It's for me. They sent me specifically a tiny little espresso mug. I mean, honestly, like it just makes me want to like help them as much as possible because I'm just like, oh, you gave me exactly what I needed. You heard me. I feel heard and seen, and it's great.
To be seen is to be loved.
To be seen. But yeah, sorry for the delay for everyone who was waiting for this live on the big screen. If you're watching this in the future, not late for you. We were talking about coffee and tea and just got carried away.
Got carried away. Well, this morning I also got slightly delayed because I have like a routine with feeding all the animals. I wake up Jordan. I make him breakfast. We go to school. I come back. I have half an hour. I get back by 7:30. I start feeding cats. The cats get fed, and then they're very easy. They go off and start murdering things in the neighborhood. One of them was kind enough to leave me just a completely eviscerated rat yesterday, so that was cool. Then switch to the dogs. And Pumpkin, the little itty bitty one that's ancient, eats by herself because she's very slow and the other ones would bully her and rush her off of her plate. So she goes into the bedroom with the gate closed. And she usually takes about the same amount of time to eat because she only eats like half of her breakfast and then she eats the rest for lunch. Nope, not today. She stood there and like just slow ate the entire thing and every dog's just at the gate staring at her. So it threw off my whole morning.
Well, hey, gotta change things up even if you're a dog, right?
Solomon says maybe the cats are really Palantir robots. I don't know.
They are
maybe. I mean,
robots.
they're pretty cute and they're getting real friendly. They are outside cats, but they keep. I feel like they're getting closer and closer to asking me to come inside. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, that could never happen.
Unless
dogs.
Yeah, let's say you have a lot of dogs, and then if Evan is ever going to visit, you would just drive him out. Although maybe by then, because he has built a home for these kittens that they adopted. Aren't there like 5 kittens he's adopted? He's allergic. He's very allergic to cats.
Yeah, I don't know. Which is why he built the cat mahal outside.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see pictures of the cat mahal.
My cat mahal is intense. These are older cats. They've been outside their entire lives. They're years old. And so our outside little cat paradise is just this wicker couch with all these cushions. And now that it's cold, there's like heating pads underneath the first layer of cushions, and then their cat beds are on top with all the blankets. So they like get in there, tuck in at night, and then you just take the fleece blankets over the top and fold them over, and then they sleep. Although the heating pads, I think, made it too much for them. They all climbed out and laid on top of everything last night, even though it was like 35 degrees.
Pretty warm in Boston.
Really? What are you cooking up there?
No, I'm just saying 35 degrees. Pretty warm in Boston.
Yeah. No, here we're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. Anyway.
But speaking of dying, I feel like this was dead for a little bit now, but the Coinbase listing is now just dead. Like the Coinbase listing pump for crypto, it's just announced that any and all Solana coins will be listed via decentralized exchange through that into the Coinbase platform. So all Solana coins are available through Coinbase now. Hey, so now like the previous events of like, oh yeah, this isn't on Coinbase yet, it's not on Binance yet. When it gets listed, it can pump. Granted, they've been kind of dead for a little bit now, but like, yeah, it's just like officially out the door. That old like, ooh, buy this coin early before it gets listed on the exchanges. Those pumps are kind of gone. Sad.
Yeah.
Sad to see, honestly.
I mean,
that was part of my strategy. That was part of my trading strategy for a very long time.
Kind of makes sense though, right? Like after you've done it 28,000 times, like is anyone excited anymore?
I was.
I'm not.
I was.
Well, it was fun while it lasted, hey?
Yeah, it made me money, so thanks. Thanks, Coinbase. Thanks,
I saw,
Binance. Appreciate it.
I think it was maybe Bearded in the Circle yesterday shared too that the rates have dropped a little bit on Coinbase for USDC rewards.
Well, yeah, they should. Because aren't rates on bonds going down?
Well, I don't know.
Well, this wasn't a question to you. This was just like a question to myself, really.
To the universe.
Yeah, to the universe.
That's fair.
Let's see. I mean, like rates on bonds are at the 10-year Treasury note is at 4.13%. So for anyone who's really excited to look at bonds, here's the 10-year Treasury note at 4.13% over the past year. I mean, it was at like 4.7%. At that time, you saw like USDC earning about like 4.8%, maybe even 5% or so, right about there if you had the Coinbase One platform. And as rates on bonds go down, so too does the rate of return on your stablecoin yield, because stablecoins are backed by US Treasuries, 10-year Treasury notes.
Yeah.
So as the rates on the bonds goes down, so too does your rate of return on stablecoins. That's how it goes. Macroeconomics, people. Wow, it's crazy how this is all connected.
Well, and two, it is worth saying, just because it's a company, they want to make some money, so there's got to be a margin somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. There's a margin somewhere.
And they make a lot of money from a lot of different things, right? They have, obviously, they're a publicly traded company, so there's that. They have the membership subscription program. They charge platform fees. I mean, Coinbase Ventures has their hands in all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
makes sense.
And then Bearded said it's at 3.5% for USDC yield, which makes sense because the current 10-year Treasury note is at 4.13%. So Coinbase is pocketing that 0.6%. Yeah, and that's how they make money.
I'll say, though, it's something we can sit here and complain about an interest rate on $1 going down to 3 point something percent, because
Pretty good.
it still skunks most banks, unless you're in a high yield
savings accounts, though, could potentially beat that.
Yeah, could. Although I've been hearing from a few people too that those, I mean, obviously, like it would be the exact same thing, right? I would assume those rates are coming down.
I'm not sure if that's any different at all, because I've actually haven't looked into high yield savings accounts exactly work. I would imagine it's the same thing, but it could be different. So I actually don't know the exact answer to that. But if you want to riff, I'll find out the answer.
Yeah, I'd be curious, because I this is another thing. I'm just not sure if it's all tied to the same thing or something else. But I mean, it's all just I don't know. For me, this is just a push to DeFi. This is a push to learn and expand your DeFi horizons, because there's so many things. I still feel like I have something new that I can learn every single day. Like, it really only just hit me in the last maybe month or so, how like, I always knew that it was a problem that the central banking industry, those traditional banks, are going to decry stuff like DeFi because it's a threat. That makes perfect sense. Wouldn't expect anything else. But when you like really break down the specifics of like your basic DeFi loop of, supplying collateral here, providing liquidity there, lending out something here, whatever, collecting rates from those different things, it seems like convoluted and complex until you realize, oh, hey, that is quite literally what the banks are doing behind the scenes. So yeah, I'd be pissy too if someone found out my secret that I've been using to make hundreds of billions of dollars a year for the last.
Yep. So here's the answer. So high yield savings accounts are not directly tied to the rates of treasuries, nor are they directly tied to, treasury yields. They're more affected by the federal funds rate. So high yield savings accounts don't pay based on treasury yields, but treasury rates and the Fed rates do influence how what banks are willing to pay. So it's more so tied to what each individual bank feels like they can afford to give you to keep your business and make money in other places, as well as competitive pressure from other banks.
Gotcha.
So that's it. So it's not tied to treasuries. So high yield savings accounts could remain higher than USDC earnings within Coinbase because of that. However, treasuries going down, their rates going down, as well as the federal funds rate going down, will cause high yield savings accounts to also go down probably, most likely.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm sure you'll see bonds continue to go down. Hopefully, you want to see rates on U.S. bonds to go down. USDC returns will not be that great, which is actually a good thing overall to the macro economy. But then again, more of a reason to get your USDC off of Coinbase and into DeFi. But even then, like DeFi carrots rates will get.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll see that if we are entering a longer, more drawn down bear market, you'll see that across the board too, because it's common that supply side would increase while demand side drops on DeFi protocols, meaning that interest rates will come down. If you're supplying collateral during like the more volatile to the upside times, then your rates are going to be better because more people are getting riskier. They're taking out more loans against more stuff and doing more stuff, and fewer people are supplying because they're more actively trading those assets as they go up and down more. As things get flat, rates will come down. It's not for concern. It's literally just that market responding to the specific supply and demand situation that it finds itself in.
Mm-hmm. I saw a question here from Franco de la Fuente 92, which is a really fun name to say. Hi, well, is it a good moment to accumulate in spot, or are we going lower? What would you do? I'll talk about what I'm doing. So I buy like a coffee's worth of Bitcoin, a coffee's worth of Ethereum, and a coffee's worth of Solana every single day. It's automatic. That's all. That's the only thing that's currently happening in terms of what I'm doing. And I've been doing that since, pretty close to the top, because I was just like, hey, I believe in these long term, and I can afford 3 coffees a day. And so I'm just going to put them into that. I make my coffee at home. I don't go to Starbucks. Also, I wouldn't go to Starbucks. I go to Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. Hell yeah. Fuck you, Starbucks. I'm a Boston guy. Where's my Red Sox hat?
We don't like them burnt beans.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't like them burnt beans. Way better black coffee. Going back to coffee. Way better black coffee. Terrible mixed drinks. Starbucks, awful black coffee. Better mixed drinks. So, pick whatever one you want.
I have to say, though, one time I went to, I don't remember what the official name of this place was called, but it was definitely like the Taj Mahal of Starbucks. Maybe someone can help me out. It's not a headquarters, but it's like a special roastery kind of a thingy, whatever. It was in Chicago when I was there to go to the embassy for my passport. And we left and walked down the street, and I saw this thing. I was like, wow, that's crazy. So went in there, just had to look. There's different coffee bars on different levels. There's a coffee museum in there. There's all sorts of stuff. That was good. Mm-hmm. That was, but it was like a full suite of
Do you drink black coffee or?
Oh, exclusively.
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't imagine.
Unless I'm going all out on some super caramel hazelnut something or other, frappe kind of a thing. I do enjoy those straight dessert drinks because, of course, who doesn't like dessert?
Jay-Z, I know we've gone off topic. Sorry. Coffee has just really grabbed our attention here. And then also Jeff Raskell on YouTube goes, I would love, as a person who has lived in Boston for a decade now, I would love, and someone who's from Maine, I would love nothing more than to be sponsored by Dunkin'. Also, the collaboration that they have with Solana Boston and the Solana Boston community is amazing. It's the best merch ever. And also, I will try my damnedest to get a Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship, because I had a consultation with a modeling agency yesterday, and they were like, hey, yeah, we totally work with you for XYZ number of things to just build your portfolio and shit. And I was like, all right, shit, I'll do that next year. And they're Boston based, so I'm like, get me into Dunkin'.
Get me in
this
there.
Mustache needs to be the face of Dunkin'. But anyway, sorry, we got very off topic. Coffee just keeps grabbing us this morning. Yeah, it just keeps grabbing us this morning. So I've been buying coffee's worth of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana every day. But I have money that I'm just building up because I have a job and I have other streams of income, and I'm just trying to build up this stack. And personally for me, I have price targets of Bitcoin at 76K as a potential real true bottom area. And if we got 64K Bitcoin, I would personally love to go buy some spot Bitcoin. And then I'd start adding probably some risky assets with the idea that I'm going to dollar cost average into them with a little bit more money, once a week or so. Something like that, that'd be perfect in my personal opinion, would be Pengu. I can't think of anything riskier than a meme coin. And I don't really like meme coins, but I do like a business that's profitable. And hey, guess what? They're one of the few that makes money. And so that would be my, okay, cool, I'm going to build a risk bag. Because to me, Ethereum and Solana are I would still say medium risk, and Bitcoin's low risk for me. So I just inked eyes of my daily purchase of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, and then I'd have a once a week purchase into riskier assets like Pengu that I'd set automatically. And then, as I am doing now, I'll continue researching heavily who's actually making meaningful changes, and then look to see how they start to develop, how their charts develop, and then I'll add 1 coins to that once a week purchase too. I think Uniswap could be one of those coins for me, because of their vote to add some utility to their token and a burn mechanic to their token, where they take coins that are used within their auction system, which is very popular, and burn that. So if you have something like Uniswap that's burning tokens, that's a pretty cool concept to me, and will help to lift Uniswap's price in the future bull runs. And so that could be something I might look to build a little bit of a bag in. I still like Maple Finance, so I might buy some syrup and stuff. They currently have a lawsuit going on that's stopping the release of one of their products. So again, keep my eye on that, see how that develops and stuff, but it's just one product of theirs. Otherwise it's not too big of a deal. And anyway, like that's what I'll be doing. And everything that I spoke about there is that's like a 6-month journey. Okay, that's like a 4-month, 6-month journey. Okay, like I don't move quickly. Unless we're in like the real fervor of a bull market. Even then, in a year, I might make 16, 15 trades in total. Otherwise, in a position like right now, I probably won't sell anything for like 6 months or a year. You know, I'm just going to be like looking to buy, because if we're in a bear market, the bear market could last, you know, I mean, if you look at October as the beginning of it, you know, you could have like 6 months to historically like 12, 13, 14. So like mentally, I'm prepared for that. And I'm looking to build positions in things I have conviction in, or that I think could really do well in the next bullish wave. And, you know, sit on my laurels and talk to you guys on the internet. That's it. Alex, What are you doing?
I am kind of getting to the point where I'm actually going to switch something in my...
Maya's back. I saw a comment from Maya. Maya, I used to see your face at the time, and I haven't seen you in a while. And I saw you make a comment, and I was like, oh, Maya's back. Hell yeah. Hello, it's great to see you again. Sorry.
No, all good.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing, but I'm switching one thing. So I used to have more aggressive sells than purchases, because we were going up more, and I was like more and more convinced, you know, every single time there was a pump that like this is the last one, so I'm going to sell more. And I haven't officially made this switch yet. Actually, right now I'm kind of like break even, so I'm like in the middle. And by that I mean if we have if I have a stack of stable coins that I'm trading in and out of, and the asset that I swing trade is Solana, I will have stack of USDC, stack of SOL. Price crashes, I take a quarter of my stack of USDC and buy Solana with it. If we pump, I take half of that swing trade position of Solana and I sell it back into stable coins, wait for it to crash again, take 25% of that, do whatever. So I'm slanted up. I'm ending up with more and more and more USDC and less SOL in that swing trade position. As it goes up, I'm flipping that. So as we go down, I will buy dips. It's still the same strategy. Buy dips, sell pumps. I'm just buying more than I'm selling, because I want to keep accumulating that bag to get bigger and bigger as prices go down and down and down, just because I have the bottom will be. I want to be prepared in the event that we turn around before I'm mentally ready for it to turn around and it goes back up. In that case, I'm covered. I still have quite a bit of SOL. But if it continues to go down, I always have at least some USDC, because it's never 100% clip that I put in from that pile. It's always half or a third, or whatever I have it set to. There's always something left. The amount, I care all about the percentage. So right now, that's really all I'm doing. With the exact same strategy that you have, except it's a weekly buy for me. Do a little bit of ETH, a little bit of Bitcoin. I follow actually the exact same metric, like a coffee cup a day. Mine is like going out to eat once a week. And then those go into those assets. And now I'm starting to put on the radar more things that are just getting obliterated, but are tied to businesses that do well.
Yep.
Stuff that happens. I think Uniswap's a great example. I think that actually there's a token. So our friends of the show and partners over at Jito have several different tokenized products, right? There's JitoSOL, which you get in return for staking Solana, but they also have JTO, which is the governance token. They're putting more effort into the DAO, and they want to get more involvement with the governance. From holders and stuff. So they're trying to make that whole thing a little bit more attractive. Right now, governance tokens, just straight up not that interesting. It's pretty hard, without really understanding why. It's pretty hard to incentivize a group of people to like vote, because you have to read like lengthy, more complicated proposals. It's
you have to go through some steps.
you have to go through some steps, and oftentimes maybe a specific proposal doesn't really pertain to you, and you're kind of more voting in interest of what you think is ultimately best for the protocol. But it's very hard to make that determination when there's barely any protocol education. Hi, that's where we come in. So that's one of the things they told us they wanted to work on. And so I decided, while I'm not at a point where I'm confident to purchase it, I do want some. How could I get it? DeFi. So in one of the things that I'm doing, which was actually a question from, sorry, Exit Velo, was it you? I think. Yeah, there we go. On restaking. The restaking thing on Jito, don't get too into it because they're making some changes there just because they don't really find it that compelling, and they're kind of adjusting the way that whole thing is presented. And they're much more focused right now on building BAM and building the tip router thing in, which will just help people, accumulate MEV rewards for providing Solana as a stake. But you can earn JTO from staking and participating on Jito right now. So that's what I'm doing. I want a little bit of it, and right now I can earn it by supporting the protocol and helping support the network. So that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another coin too that would be. Oh, I forgot. There's some news with their competitor too. I mean, like Hyperliquid is also of interest.
Yeah.
Because I imagine it's just going to continue to get used, and if you can buy Hyperliquid at any significant discount, so long as it's still being used, because for those of you who don't know, Hyperliquid has a ton of revenue because a ton of people use it. It's a decentralized exchange and perpetuals environment. And a number, I forget what percentage of their revenue they take and they buy back the Hype token. So long as it's getting used, once a bull market comes around, it'll do very, very well so long as it still has adoption. So if you can buy Hyperliquid on a discount, I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer to me.
I would. Personally, I would.
Also, Aster released some news yesterday. The competitor of Hyperliquid, released by Binance. They have 0% fees for trading of tokenized stocks on their platform. So you can literally go and trade tokenized stocks on Aster for free right now, which they're definitely only going to do for a limited amount of time. So if you are interested in playing around with tokenized stocks, or you play with stocks or are interested in them, you can go do that on Aster at 0% fees. Which is cool,
Yeah, that's someone asked about BNB. I would say that's another group chain network ecosystem that is extremely profitable, and that token typically does quite well during times when the bulls are winning again. That thing it's been top of the list for a long time. I genuinely have a hard time imagining that changing. Personally.
No, yeah, BNB will do well every single bull run. Yep. Honestly, it's something
unless
that
something
should probably be
earth-shattering happens with the exchange. So it's possible, but probably not.
Probably not. I mean, if you think Binance is going to continue to make money and continue to have users,
yeah,
BNB
biggest exchange on the planet, by the way.
Yeah, BNB is going to do well. Honestly, I should probably get some of it in this bear run.
I think that every time, and then I don't, and then
Damn, I'm dumb.
I think
because I don't want to support a centralized exchange token, but I do want to make money.
Yeah. And I could have an easier time supporting a centralized exchange ecosystem if I was more excited about the products in there, for a very long time I was really into Coinbase because I really liked the Coinbase Learn and Earn program. Which,
yeah, that was cool.
Unfortunately has kind of, petered out a little bit, but back in the day, I was just talking about this yesterday. Emily on Trust Issues, we were talking about it. Just how, at that point, it was dude, these things were 25, 35, sometimes even more dollars worth of a thing. You take a couple quizzes, answer a few questions, and boom, just pay you. And every now and then, one of those things would just rip. And you could end up with $100, $200 out of taking a quiz on Coinbase if you were willing to pull that old sell trigger. So that's my final doesn't have to be final disclaimer with this whole thing as we're talking about the bear market plays. Now you're starting to get into the riskier things wherein, hey, based on historical trends, this token usually does pretty well. I'm going to take a risk on a little bit of it. This doesn't mean I'm sinking in money I can't afford to lose. We're still not ever doing that with any of this stuff because it is risky, right? Especially we get into this because as I'm sure you've probably heard us say before, prices can come down 50%, and from there they could go down another 50%, and from there they could go down another 50%, And from there, they could go down another 50%, and so on and so forth. And so just remember, no matter what the price is, it can, in fact, always go lower.
It can. And man, I've been there a few times where I was like, it can't possibly, oh my God.
But I mean, that's where your coffee a day theory comes into play, because
yeah, exactly.
At any given point, you're prepared for that to turn around and start to go the other way. In which case you could literally start selling a coffee cup's worth of it every single, or a bigger, 10 coffees worth, whatever your personal, plan works out to be, and then flip it back again. You react to the way that the market moves, because who knows where these things are going. We just simply do not know.
Yeah. Honestly, I think my favorite thing about dollar cost averaging is if you do it for long enough, it's always worked out for me. And so the other thing too, though, is that, like, you can make money if you try to do it a little bit more strategically, and I've done that, and it's worked out, giving me a better return. But something that dollar cost averaging into these, like Bitcoin in particular, but also Ethereum and Solana, is it satiates the emotional pull in me to be like, oh, I have to get into the market right now because maybe this one bottomed. And I'm just like, it erases that. It gets rid of that emotional pull to typically make a mistake and go a little bit bigger when I probably shouldn't, because it feels good knowing that I am investing in the market, like right now. And if it goes up, I get to benefit from it. And it really alleviates that emotional pull. And so for me, dollar cost averaging is a strategy that works for me, like from a financial standpoint, but also works from an emotional standpoint. And I feel like I make better trades because of it.
Well, something that there's a comment from Velo about this, just another area of interest outside of the Solana ecosystem, so we could maybe pivot to the ETH side a little bit. We used to talk about Morpho and Arrow a lot more, still profitable revenue-generating protocols that have at least a non-insignificant number of users. Have you tracked anything over there, still doing anything, any supplying on the Morpho side, or are you in any vaults over there? Are you at all?
I have some USDC over there that's been there for a long time, and it's in threat of being one of those wallets that I forget about.
Right.
And they go, oh yeah, there's money over here. But honestly, now that you mention it, I was like, yeah, I haven't really done anything on Base in a while, and it's definitely been more Solana. And that shift for me started when Base and Coinbase announced that they were releasing a token. Honestly, I definitely started unconsciously shifting immediately my money and attention away from Base because of the potential release of a Base token, where there's a natural just like kickback for me being like, fuck you. Like I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I know there are parents with their kids listening. I apologize for the language, but I just don't like it. And so I definitely unconsciously started switching attention away from Base because of it, personally myself. But one thing that's been interesting, and I haven't checked it up on the old llama, but TVL within Base, and particularly within Aerodrome specifically, the amount of money on Aerodrome really started falling, even though the market was still doing really well up until like October 10th, right? And so it was interesting to see that the usage of Aerodrome was decreasing, yet the price of it was still incredibly volatile. People were paying attention to it. And I didn't necessarily like the ratio of people just using Aerodrome for means of speculation, as opposed to using Aerodrome for its general purpose. And so I was like, okay, there's a little bit of weakness there, but obviously Aerodrome is very much so in trend. A lot of people talk about it. It's like the infrastructure play of Base, so like it's still going to be popular from like a trading standpoint. But like I didn't like to see that. And let me take a look at the DeFi llama for Base, because I'm pretty sure the TVL on Base was going up, but TVL on Aerodrome was going down, and I didn't like to see that trend. So let me look it up.
Well, and two, it's worth drawing a distinction between those two things you just mentioned. One, the speculation on the token itself, which is what drives the price of the token, and then utilization of the token, which could inform speculation but does not by itself increase the price. Mm-hmm. And so it's worth saying, I mean, Aerodrome is one that's been on my radar. I do hold it, and I do swing trade it as well, but less frequently, just because I don't pay enough attention to it to like be on it all the time. However, I got into that one because that one moves on a day when everything else is doing 5%. Aerodrome's doing 15% down or up, and so there's an option. There's an opportunity to have a much bigger swing. The risk is elevated, but the potential payoff, and it's a token that, like, if I were to miss a couple, And I don't have very much in it. Like as a percentage of my portfolio, it's probably less than 3%.
Yeah,
but
I think Aerodrome is a good coin to, like, if you're still bullish on the base ecosystem, which I think everybody should be. You should probably be bullish on the base ecosystem.
It'd be silly not to.
It'd be silly not to have Aerodrome be like your main coin if you're super, super bullish on base, which I am bullish on base still, even though I have issues with the direction of certain things.
But that's more of like a philosophy thing.
That's more of a philosophical thing that I have a hard time kind of dealing with. But like all of the fundamental reasons as to why base should continue to do well and henceforth therefore round circle Aerodrome are all still there and have been there since I was talking about base in 2023. But I'm sharing my screen here. As we can see, TVL on base, the amount of Ethereum on it has been increasing. We did see a decrease from April of this year to August of this year, but since then it did increase. It has been decreasing recently, but that tends to happen in a bear market. That's not uncommon. And this is the amount of Ethereum. We can also see that the amount of fees paid from various decentralized applications. In first place is Uniswap, and this is daily. So Uniswap's fees are a casual almost $500,000 a day. Aerodrome is 307,000 at second. Morpho is third at 172,000. And then Metronome at 112,000. I actually don't know what Metronome is. So we see that the DeFi ecosystem is healthy for base after having an initial dip here. So let's go take a look at Aerodrome specifically. Let's see, that's USD Ethereum. Come on. Is the Ethereum tab for this not working?
So sometimes it...
Hang on, let me refresh here. Ah, there it is. Yeah, so this is the problem that I see for Aerodrome in terms of like its actual adoption. Since October of last year, so it's been a year, the amount of Ethereum being used within its ecosystem has been just straight up declining, and it bottomed on October 12th, so right after the 10/10 events, and it has been kind of increasing, but it's been, as you guys can see, pretty flattened and dead in terms of its actual adoption. Now, if we take a look at that same time period of the Aerodrome token, as we were saying, very, very volatile, really, really big swings to the up and down side, a great coin to trade. And let's see, usage started falling off in October of last year. So where is October of last year? That would be, right about here. So usage started falling off in this general zone. Let me make this yellow and a little bit. So usage started falling off over here, but price was still able to rip upwards. And then we had a massive crash downwards. And you could say that this massive crash was in part because they have a very inflationary supply, but they do take some supply and lock it up as well, so they counteract it. But also because the demand for it was going down. And then we had a pump upwards, and we have a lower high, probably in part because Aerodrome's usage was really, really going down. Remember, during this time period from April 2025 to August of 2025, April was right here, and then we started seeing a really big decrease, sizable decrease here in the amount of TVL. So the ability for Aerodrome to go higher was being limited because the adoption and usage of Aerodrome was decreasing. And that's why it's important to look at how a token is being used if that demand for utility is increasing, because if it's decreasing, you're putting yourself in a more likely position for you to create higher lows. Add on top of that, there's an inflationary supply that's pretty aggressive, although like I said, they do buy and kind of lock up tokens as well to combat it. And you put yourself in a situation where it makes it super hard to get back up to all-time highs. So what I would like to see in a bear market specifically is I want to see DeFi strength still continuing in a bear market, because there's a product that is getting adoption amongst its target audience, which puts it in a more likely situation to make higher highs in the future. And right now, that isn't really happening for Aerodrome because its usage has been flat and just barely increasing. And that is a little bit of a concern because for all the reasons I just mentioned, but also, we just showed that base as a general ecosystem, its usage has been going up and to the right for the most part. So people are using base more, but not using Aerodrome. the key infrastructure of the entire space. So like, what are people doing on it if they're not using Aerodrome? However, we can still see that Aerodrome is still generating the second most amount of fees. So, you know, it's a little bit of a confusing picture here, but there is some fundamental weakness for Aerodrome that we're seeing.
Is there any indication on DeFi Llama there, if you look at the base ecosystem, any protocols over there that are growing while other things are shrinking?
Yeah, we can scroll down here. I really like to look at this section that shows the TVL growth over like longer periods of time. So if we take a look at TVL within base, number one is Morpho at $2 billion. Number two is Aave, hey, at $840 million. But if we take a look at like what's really growing over the past month, now granted, this is measured in dollar bills. So as the price of Ethereum drops, so too will this TVL here measured in dollars. And I can't personally change this, I don't think. Can I? No, I don't think so. So if we take a look at Morpho over the past month, it has remained flat. That's a really good sign. If the price of Ethereum has been falling, yet dollars TVL has remained flat, that means that more Ethereum is being put on it. So that's actually a really good sign. Stakehouse Financial, granted, this is on 8 chains, but it has grown by 25%. That's interesting. I don't really know much about Stakehouse Financial, but it's the third largest TVL on base, and it's grown 25% in the past month. That's really cool and interesting.
Great opportunities for some good yield there.
Okay, nice.
And you can access Stakehouse yield products through Morpho as well.
Okay. Something else that catches my eye is Anzen Financial. Granted, its TVL is only $100 million, so this is super small, and honestly, my general rule of thumb is if your TVL is below $300 million, it's not necessarily worth paying attention to unless it's growing really fast. But during this time, a tokenization of real-world interest play is basically...
Sorry. We just want to make the clarification. You're only talking about, like, borrowing and lending and supply important, like, protocols wherein the supply is important, because, like, the TVL on a DEX doesn't matter.
No, but I mean, I was just using it as like a general rule of thumb that like if it's below 300 million, it's pretty small. If it's above 300 million, it's medium sized to big.
Sure. We just want
in terms of adoption.
Be clear that TVL is not the end all be all.
No, it's not the end all be all. It's a general rule of thumb. But also here's this, Avantis. It's a derivatives platform on Base, and its dollar TVL is basically flat over the past month. It's negative 4.5%. But that means the amount of Ethereum on it has been going upward since the price of ETH has been going down. And Avantis is just on one chain, which means it's only on Base, and that's its only source of liquidity. Whereas some of these, like Moonwell has 3 chains, Gauntlet has 8 chains, Morpho has 30 chains right now. Crazy. But that means that Avantis is getting a lot of adoption on Base, which is also interesting to see, right? So Aerodrome in comparison is down 13% in terms of its TVL. So like that's how we kind of read this, and that's what we're looking at. So just looking at this, Morpho is doing really well from an adoption standpoint. Avantis, while it is small, is probably the second most impressive in terms of what I'm looking at. But then also Anzen Finance is also doing interesting, but it's on 5 chains. So, you know, Anzen and Avantis kind of stick out to me, and Morpho is doing great.
Take it. Actually, I'm gonna ask you to throw the llama back up one more time to take a peek at EigenLayer. We had a question about Eigen, and we can talk a little bit about DeFi on ETH there, just because. So we mentioned the idea of restaking through Jito. EigenLayer kind of facilitates a similar product experience on Ethereum, wherein you can take staked ETH. That you could get from Lido, for example, which is the biggest staking service provider on Ethereum. And you could...
is it called EigenCloud now?
That could be, yeah. Yeah, it's just, Eigen, whatever the big one is. There we go.
12.7 billion, is that big?
Yeah, that's big. It's indeed a bit big. But basically what they do is their EigenLayer, or I guess EigenCloud or whatever, Eigen, is working on solving the fragmented security conundrum on Ethereum by allowing you to take staked ETH from different places, localize it through Eigen, and restake it to not only compound like your rewards, because you can earn additional yield on staked Ether, but you also then get to contribute to the overall security of the thing. These guys are dorks, which is a really good thing. whenever you see them at conferences, it is such an interesting conversation to see what Eigen's up to. They always have really great speakers and a solid presence. This is one you're going to have to like hunker down and read a little bit about. I confess that a good chunk of like the intricacies of Eigen are straight over my head. Not the one who's going to sit here and explain the entire thing, but I can tell you that they are huge. They are doing the job. I mean, Will, is that graph showing us ETH TVL?
Shows us ETH. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, look at that. Right? Like it's pretty much
it's sliding a tiny bit, but also that could be just,
I mean, everything is though, right?
Everything
or
is,
most, I should say most things at least.
Most things are. But I mean, like still, it's $12.7 billion. In terms of its ranking on Ethereum, it is, wait, am I back on base? No, I'm on Ethereum. Where is it? EigenCloud is the third largest DeFi protocol on Ethereum at 12.7 billion. Only things bigger, Aave, and then in first place is Lido.
Lido is gargantuan. Aave is an absolute behemoth. So
yeah, Lido's at $27.8 billion, and Aave is at $26.9 billion. So basically, neck and neck for the difference of. I mean, at that point, neck and neck is the difference of $700 million, which is crazy.
An answer to the question is that DeFi Llama. What's up, Hornet? Good to see you. Yes, this is the Llama. The Llama, I'm proud to say, friends of the Rise Up Morning Show, and this is like the premier, the creme de la creme resource for DeFi education, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, DeFi Llama has been the best place to like actually see what's being used and to learn about DeFi. It's the #1 tool everyone should get familiar with outside of everything else. It's like on top of it.
They honestly too, in addition to just being straight up the best place, it's free. They don't charge you. They didn't paywall any of the information, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's better than anything that you could pay for.
They are not sponsoring us with payment, frankly, because, well, one, that's not really what they do, and two, I straight up told them I wasn't interested. You can donate to support that if you feel like it. If it's something that you can afford and facilitate, they do accept donations to keep the protocol free. Certainly not required, but appreciate it if you can swing it. Anyway,
I should probably do that. I've made a lot of money because of them.
Right? Yeah, I do a little bit every now and then. I take staking rewards, and I disperse staking rewards to things that accept donations that I care about in the DeFi space. Just because, like, well, I mean, dude, like, the DApp Radar news was heartbreaking.
I know, damn.
So, if I can at least participate in trying, I don't have enough to like do anything huge. I can't, leave a protocol or anything like that, but I can try, and then I can feel better at night knowing that I put some effort and resources into trying.
If DApp Radar had reached out to the community and just been like, hey guys, we're running out of money and we don't make money and we have to turn the lights off soon, like, can you guys help? The crypto community would have come in and given
There's some work being done. That really hit a lot of people pretty hard. It was immediately floated like, what do we have to do to not let this happen? Because it was like 7 years. Yeah. That they'd been
well, that's good. I'm glad you're hearing that people are trying to save DApp Radar.
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately was like, hey, venture capitalists, why don't you do something useful for a change? And, like just donate, save the open source protocols kind of thing.
Yeah, that is good karma.
They're not the only ones, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I can only spare probably like 10 more minutes or so, just FYI, just because I'm getting pinged by people, end a quarter, got to close some deals.
Well, then there was a couple people saying, sorry if you have to repeat yourself, missed the update. Do you want to recap the Fed news from this week a little bit and just kind of nutshell it for everybody one more time?
Yeah, sure. So overall, markets got a good little surprise. The non-surprise, which was still good news, was that the Fed cut interest rates by 25 basis points, which is 0.25%. That was expected. So generally good, but the impact of that won't be felt for probably about 6 months or so. The surprise was that the Fed are officially adding to their balance sheet again. They are not calling it quantitative easing, but it is that. They are going out and they are buying $40 billion worth of treasuries every single month now until tax day in America, which is April 15th, and then they'll reassess. They will announce how many treasuries they will be purchasing for the next 30 days on the 9th of every month. So January 9th, February 9th, March 9th. And yeah, so adding to their balance sheet, is the number one way that the Fed can influence markets. And they are doing it. They're saying this isn't quantitative easing because this is a small amount just to ensure that there's liquidity in the banking sector, but it is quantitative easing. It is adding to their balance sheet. So that was a surprise. The stock market went up immediately, and Bitcoin went up immediately in response and then fell because, apparently the world hates us. So here we are.
Because sad.
But it is overall good news. And it was nice to see that because that'll soften the impact of the Bank of Japan hiking rates in 7 days. And that'll be a negative on markets.
Anything else you feel partial to sharing? Any lingering thoughts as we prepare to head off for the weekend?
Before we head off for the weekend. Just
to recap, I think today was great. I feel good. We got a good chance to talk about exactly what we're doing right now as we kind of sit in this, transitionary period where it certainly looks like, the bear will deepen. But in the event that for some unforeseen reason it doesn't, how to be prepared there. So I don't know.
I feel pretty well met. And honestly, the other thing I'll say is everyone who's watching, you're doing all the right stuff in terms of paying attention to what's going on and changing in the market. Don't leave it. Don't feel like you have to invest, but feel like you have to research and figure out what are the things that you're going to have conviction in, and analyze the mistakes that you made as well. If you did make mistakes, I'm sure you did. I did. Everyone does. Try to learn from that and have an improved and better strategy moving forward. And hopefully we find a bottom. We'll all talk about it and discuss it. Hopefully we all feel good about it and everyone make their own individual decision at the end of the day. But we should all end up feeling good about the coins that we're buying because there's like a really good opportunity to make a lot of money in the next 12 to 18 months. I know it might seem like a long time. You might want money tomorrow. I do too. But this is how money gets made, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it seems long. I promise it isn't. It's gonna fly by. I feel like I blinked and all of a sudden I'm like right back in the bear market phase that I was feeling in 22, and I just feels like the same thing again. I don't know. I mean, I'm super encouraged to see more people hanging out and spending more time trying to buckle down. I will absolutely say this is financial advice, by the way. Don't leave. The financial advice is to pay attention. It's to learn something new every single day. There are so many things to learn. I promise you still have something to learn. I know I do. And I have been obsessively reading about this stuff for about 7 or 8 years now. So I promise there's more.
On the show today, I learned officially how high yield savings accounts provide their interest rate returns. Yeah, see? There's something to learn every day.
I'm on the wrong page for the sound. I was going to give you a ding, and I almost pushed the "you're a loser."
You're a loser?
It's in the same place. But no, I'm super encouraged to see more people spending time asking really good questions about, where focus deserves to be right now. In short, find things that you think are interesting and then just buckle down and learn about them, and be critical too. Like if you have a thing where you're like, well, I feel very strongly about this particular currency, try to prove yourself wrong. Try to figure out why you could be wrong, because you could be. Yeah. And if you can't answer the question, what is the risk? What is the potential downside here? Then, you're doing it wrong, frankly, and you're much more likely to get hosed. Everything says you need to buckle down and pay attention. How nothing says now that you need to be buying stuff, especially if you're uncomfortable with it. So for my final thought, I would just add in that if you are currently using crypto on a centralized exchange and you've gotten to the point where you have enough money there that you would be really disappointed to see it leave, or to lose it, or lose access to it, or have something happen to it, it's time to learn about self-custody. That would be my advice for you, would be to buckle down into running and managing your own wallets and start to move further. You don't have to go full tilt all the way to 100% self-custody cold storage on day one, but you can get there. And there's a lot of baby steps in between there. So, spend time learning about that. The bear market is for DeFi. If you have assets that you don't want to get rid of, but they're worth less than they were before, and you are having a hard time with that, one risky option would be to try to swing trade yourself out of that position. A less risky option would be to use DeFi in that environment and earn interest on the thing you have and accumulate over. That's what I do, dude. I mean, my staking positions all get bigger in the bear market. My liquidity providing all gets, or excuse me, my collateral supply all gets bigger. Like anything I can be doing to squeak out more yield, money I don't have to spend, but money I can earn by working with the assets that I have. That's where my focus is. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to kind of roll out this episode. And I do want to appreciate and provide appreciation to everybody providing the likes. I did see someone call out, "Hey, get more likes." Really simple way to support the channel. Tap the screen a couple times. Really appreciate it, everybody. And the gifts, as always, the gifts are awesome. All that kind of stuff, and all the comments and everything. So really appreciate how much you guys have supported us also through the year. Now we're getting to the end of the year, so I'm just kind of like thinking about like, I try to reflect about like, hey, like how'd this year go? Did I accomplish some things? What did I accomplish? What didn't I accomplish? And then, you just kind of think about it and
build the goal sheet for next year.
Actually, like, I did a lot this year. Accomplished a lot this year. Missed on some goals, but like part of it is we are getting close. Myself, Alex, Evan, Tori, everyone who's a part of the show and who is going to be a part of the show in the future, like we're getting really close from a financial standpoint to being able to do this, full time. I think we're getting pretty damn close to being able to have like Alex and Evan kind of really focus on this full time. And then, I think that at some point by the end of this year, maybe early next year, there'll be a point where I can focus on this full time. We wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for like you guys coming here and giving us your time. You give us a lot of time, and that's really cool. So thank you. And that's
well
it. Said. Before I cry.
I know, right? Getting a little. No, but for real, I mean, I always think the same thing. In the words of Mike Shinoda, you could be anywhere in the world and you're here with us, and I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. I'm doing the same thing. Plans for next year. It's gonna be a good year. I have to say again a resounding thank you to our partners: Polygon, Jito, Arculus, Unlock Protocol, the White Whale. The leap of faith that those partners took with us is pretty cool because this is kind of a weird, like hitherto unexplored area of messaging, marketing, and education in the Web3 space. The contracts that they agreed to with us are weird, frankly, for businesses like that to participate in. Every single one of them had to try it because they were the first. Now I can say, trusted by these partners, and here's what we've been able to do for them. But before that, it was literally a trust me, bro. It was like, hey, no, listen. No, we're not going to do any specific videos. No, you can't sponsor one-off content. No, it has to be for at least 3 months. And even that's probably too short, but like we'll start with a pilot. No, I might not talk about you every day. If it doesn't feel relevant, we're not going to bring it up. I'm not going to do ad reads. It's all, and they're like, and shout out Polygon. They were the first one. They were like, you know what? You're the creative. Get in there and create. And so that's super cool. So I'm excited to blow that up next year, have data. And I like data. Now I have data to support my thesis that this is the way.
I can't wait for the moment, though, where there will be not so subtle signs where the first episode where I get like regular Web2 companies to like sponsor the show. And I'll just be like, and this like perfect product placement of like Coca-Cola and like, a perfect product placement of like Dunkin' Donuts. Like I just like turn the brand a little bit towards the camera, or it's just like, oh yeah, man, if only I had my Bowflex, and then just like a Bowflex comes on screen. It's like, that would be. I would love to do that kind of product because it would be hilarious. I would love to do that so much.
It would be hilarious.
So much fun. Anyway, great show. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see y'all on Monday.
We will see you guys bright and early on Monday. Until then, you can find us at community.rumshq.com. That is the free-to-join circle that we run and maintain. That is where the show lives 24/7. Any questions about any of this DeFi stuff in more depth, with more nuance and more specifics, we can do more like hand-holding type of tutorials and stuff. Mark my words, I'm getting very close to starting office hours. I've been dragging on it, but I'm going to try to do something this Saturday in the circle. It's a free to join thing, and then I'll do it's just like a small group class. You guys can ask anything you want. We can do screen shares on anything you want, walk through anything. If we just want to do 0 to 1 or 2 on DeFi, something, we can do that. So request welcome. Hope to see you guys there. That's community.rumshq.com. and hope to see you there. Not sure what time on Saturday yet, Jane, but I'll post there when I have an idea. It's going to be sometime in the afternoon. I'm at the rescue in the mornings, and so I'll get cleaned up, and then we'll send it sometime between probably 2 and 4 in the afternoon Eastern US time. Okay, that is all the time we have for today, folks. We'll see you in the community, and if not, we'll see you first thing bright and early right here Monday morning. Until next time, my friends.